Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Nick Morganelli. I'll take you to Blessed Sacrament Church in Holyoke, where teenagers came together to make for a very special Christmas.
I'm Steve Kiltonic. I'll speak with Father Douglas McGonigal about his latest book, in which he attempts to unravel the mystery surrounding the Star of Bethlehem.
And a living manger scene brings the story of the Holy Family to life in Ludlow. These stories are coming your way next on Reel to Reel. Hello, Happy New Year and welcome to Reel to Reel. This weekend, the church celebrates the visit of the Magi, Three Kings Day, the Feast of the Epiphany. Throughout history, there have been questions surrounding the Star of Bethlehem that led these visitors from the East to pay homage to the infant Jesus. Was that star, in fact, a comet, a bright light in the sky, a miracle, or a myth? Father Douglas McGonigal, pastor of Most Holy Redeemer Parish in Hadley, who is also an astronomer, attempts to solve the mystery in his latest book. Steve Kiltonic sat down with the priest astronomer and tells us more now about what did the Magi see.
The Star of Bethlehem has captured the imagination of scholars, scientists, and astronomers for centuries. It's arguably one of the most famous stars in human history, and also one of the biggest mysteries. According to the Gospel of Matthew, the star led the Magi, or wise men, to the infant Jesus, an event known as Epiphany. But what exactly was the Star of Bethlehem? Father Douglas McGonigal, pastor of Most Holy Redeemer Parish in Hadley, unravels the mystery in his book, The Star of Bethlehem: What Did the Magi See? Father McGonigal, who was an astronomer before he became a priest, builds on the work of a fellow astronomer, Michael Molnar, a former professor at Rutgers University. Molnar presents a compelling argument in his 1999 book of what the Magi may have seen based on his research of an ancient coin. Father McGonigal, who grew up outside of Boston in the early 60s, was always interested in space and the heavens.
So I kind of grew up in a time when space and rockets and electronics were just in the air. And so I've just always been interested in astronomy, science, anything that moved or flew on its own.
Father McGonigal eventually received a BS and PhD in astronomy from UMass Amherst. While at the Newman Center, the priesthood crossed his mind, and after entering the seminary, he was ordained in 2000. Father McGonigal never had a particular interest in the Star of Bethlehem until reading Molnar's book. Molnar became intrigued after he purchased an ancient coin that was minted in the Roman province of Syria around the year 6 AD.
And on the coins was the image of a leaping ram looking back at a star. He came up with the idea, the notion that this could very well be commemorating the Star of Bethlehem that's talked about in Matthew's Gospel.
Based on the factual evidence gathered by Molnar, Father McGonigal agreed the coins could be linked to the Star of Bethlehem.
This is now a legacy of the Magi. It's a tangible, historical article. It's a fact. It's not just a story that was made up or added in to make the birth of Christ seem more important.
While a curate at St. Cecilia's in Wilbraham, Father Doug created a PowerPoint presentation and began to give talks around the diocese on Molnar's book. A few years ago, Victoria Seed, an editor with the Catholic Truth Society, asked if he was interested in writing a book based on the talks. The project was stalled by the pandemic, and it wasn't until 2023 that Father Doug agreed to write the book, which integrates Molnar's scholarship with his own research on the importance of the star and the nativity story. Father Doug has been giving his Bethlehem Star talks for nearly 20 years. This one was held last month at Holy Trinity Church in Greenfield. He first debunks 4 possible explanations for the star: that it was an angel or supernatural event.
What about rare, spectacular astronomical phenomena such as comets, whoosh, supernova, or planetary conjunctions? Beep, 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 beep. Perhaps Matthew simply added the star to make the birth of Christ seem more important.
Father Doug suggests the evidence supports only one plausible explanation, that the star was an astrological event, a portent or sign of a regal or magnificent birth in Judea. Matthew's Gospel is the only biblical reference to a star in the Magi. Who then are the Magi? They were Gentiles and they came from the East.
They were astrologers. They were wise men. They would explain natural phenomenon. They were healers, and they could cast horoscopes. That was their trade. They were using calculations to predict the positions of the planets.
In the book, Father Doug explains the Magi's projected horoscope pertaining to the astrological and astronomical events that likely occurred.
Everything all comes together, one thing on top of another, that on April 17th, 6 BC, pointed towards a regal birth in Judea.
Although astrology is anathema to Christians, Father McGonigal believes we need to view the event as historical fact to understand the motivation of the Magi. He offers his version of a potential conversation between the Magi after witnessing a stupendous astrological portent.
Balthasar, look at this one. We got, Saturn and Jupiter and the sun are all in Aries, and the moon occults Jupiter as it's having a heliacal rising in Aries. Wow, there's a new king being born in Judea.
Astronomers going back to the 4th century AD have written about the same event, which falls within the same period historians believe Jesus was born.
The sign of the zodiac that rules over Judea is Aries, the ram. And so you would think that if you're going to have a birth of a king in Judea, then the regal portent should appear in the constellation Aries.
The Gospel of Luke explains Jesus was born around the time Quirinius was governor of Syria. After Molnar discovered Quirinius minted the coins of a leaping ram looking back at a star, he wondered if the coins could be linked to the star.
Provincial coinage was the primary means for Rome to push its propaganda on the population. When they put the leaping ram looking at a star on a low denomination coin, so that means everybody has them in their purses, they're sending a message. The message is, yes, we are aware of a regal portent in this constellation Aries that was a regal birth. And you all think it was for the Messiah. Well, no. It was for Caesar.
Fearing a Jewish revolt, the coins may have been an attempt by the Romans to subvert the Star of Bethlehem and twist its meaning to benefit the emperor. So, what did the Magi actually see?
If you got it in your head that it's a Spielbergian, encounters of the third kind sort of event that leads everybody to the mountaintop, no. To them, big, bright, shiny things wasn't so much the big deal. It was the layering on of multiple things that really kind of caught their attention.
Father Doug explains in detail about King Herod, Roman and Greek history, the coins, as well as the celestial configurations leading up to the Star of Bethlehem, which most likely was the planet Jupiter being eclipsed by the moon. Since the book release, Father McGonigal's talks have been well received. At Holy Trinity, over 70 people attended his latest PowerPoint presentation, which replicates the format used in the book. Father Doug answered questions, and attendees could purchase autographed copies of the book. Many left with a new perspective of the star. Father McGonigal concludes we may never know with certainty if the coins are linked to the stars. However, if the majority of evidence and historical facts are true,
The enemies of the Christ child quite unwittingly left behind for us tangible, physical, historical evidence that a star once shone over a little town in Judea, the day the King of the universe was born.
For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
And if you'd like to purchase Father Doug's book, we have provided a link to Amazon at iobserve.org, or you can stop by his parish, Most Holy Redeemer in Hadley. The Christmas spirit was found in abundance at Blessed Sacrament Church in Holyoke this season. The outpouring of generosity from parishioners and religious education students from area parishes produced hundreds of gifts and thousands of cards for Christmas. Nick Morganelli shares the joy in this story of giving.
Blessed Sacrament in Holyoke was busy with 3 Christmas ministries happening on a rainy third Sunday of Advent. Multiple parishes contributed to Operation Christmas Smile, gifts and necessities for those at Hope Center in Springfield, and the annual Giving Tree. Middle school and high school religious education students from St. Patrick's in South Hadley and Blessed Sacrament in Holyoke participated in the final preps of the gift giving and card making.
I find it that's really heartwarming to me. I really liked it. It was surprising how many gifts we actually had.
Kelly O'Connor directs this combined religious education program. Father Robert Gentile is overjoyed with all the student involvement.
The history of the Giving Tree goes back about 17 years with one of our directors of religious ed, who has since left. And Kelly O'Connor picked it up and has been running with it, and it's been growing and expanding. It's been phenomenal. And of course, our kids are incredible.
When the kids are making the ornaments, some of them don't end up on the tree. The kids pocket them, because it touches their heart. One year we had a bunch of kids. One of the girls was writing it. She stood up. She goes, all this little girl wants is princess sheets for her new bed. And the girls are like, can we take that? And I said, yeah. I don't know how many got involved, but that little girl got sheets, curtains, comforter, pillows, dolls. I was like, they just kept unloading the car, and that was all. It was a bunch of confirmation kids who did it.
They recognize the value of what it is they do. And whenever we help other people, we get a great sense of accomplishment. As if, we're making a difference in somebody's lives. It gives us purpose, and they're clearly getting that tonight.
Growing up, I've had a very give what you get sort of ideal in my household. Having the opportunity to give something is really refreshing, and it feels good.
Well, now that almost 500 presents from the Giving Tree are all wrapped and loaded onto the box truck, it's time to find out who the recipients are for this wonderful Christmas.
Providence Ministry and some local families too that have reached out to us needing help.
Veterans and service members on a tour of duty in another country miss being home for Christmas. Operation Christmas Smile means a greeting card from someone they don't know, and that goes beyond just showing appreciation for their service. And how big is it this year?
There's close to 2,000. Yeah.
Parishioners from Blessed Sacrament, our religious ed program here, and our school. St. Patrick's in South Hadley, the parishioners and the religious ed. St. Charles in Brimfield sent us cards. St. Patrick's in Springfield, way to go. They sent us so many cards. Mater Dei Rosa School actually sent cards too.
Lastly, the residents at Hope Center in Springfield struggling with addiction were given gifts as well.
All the donations came from parishioners, and they're simple things: Sudoku books, word puzzles, toiletries, stationery, pens, hats, scarves, you name it, they probably got it. And our kids take them and create gift bags for every resident. And on Christmas morning, these residents are expecting nothing. They think it's just going to be a regular day, and they come downstairs and each have an individual bag waiting for them. High five. The cards we get afterwards are tear-jerking, how much just this simple act does for them, how uplifting it is for them.
I think I'm going to do this every year because it just makes you feel so good to be able to help them.
I'm in 7th grade, and this is my first year doing this whole thing. It was really fun. I just hope they get better and have better lives. They're going through tough times, and I just want them to be happy and have that warm, fuzzy feeling.
We can't teach them how to be Catholics without giving them the opportunity to be a Catholic, to practice being a Catholic. And what better way than service projects and hanging out together and having fun.
These youth are learning and growing in their faith through giving to others. Witness to the gift of joy in Holyoke. For Real to Real, I'm Nick Morganelli.
Looks like it was a blessed Christmas for the recipients as well as those who participated in the giving. And still to come on this little Christmas edition of Real to Real, Rebecca Drake will take us to an outdoor living nativity portrayal which took place last week. And Dan Dumas will have news briefs from throughout the Diocese of Springfield. It's all still ahead on Real to Real.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
just finished this today,
and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel news briefs. Many cemeteries across Western Massachusetts participated in the National Wreaths Across America Day this Christmas season. At St. Rose de Lima Cemetery, veterans and their families gathered to remember those who served their country. Steve Kiltonick has the story.
On December 16th, St. Rose de Lima Cemetery was host for a second year to the Wreaths Across America program. The mission of the national program is to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom. The event kicked off at the cemetery's Veterans Memorial Park, where over 30 volunteers and veteran family members gathered. Father Bill Turigny was instrumental in the effort to construct the park.
I think it's just a great way to give them honor and the respect that is due them in gratitude for the service they offered our country.
Single wreaths were available for $15. A total of 689 wreaths were purchased for the cemetery this year.
We've got another successful year this year, thanks to the dedication of all our residents and people throughout the country who spend the money to purchase these wreaths for our fallen heroes.
Students from St. Joan of Arc's National Junior Honor Society and Pope Francis Prep laid wreaths at the stone of each service branch.
So many great people sacrificed themselves for all of us so we can have the opportunity to do things like this. So me and Ryan can go to Pope Francis and worship in a free manner.
My grandpa was a veteran back in the day. He was in the Army, so it's just great because without them we wouldn't be able to live freely and safe in America. It's great to have them fighting for us.
Veterans' loved ones had the option of laying the wreaths themselves or by volunteer. Sheila Rivard's father was in the Navy during World War II. Her brother, the Marines in Vietnam.
My dad's a veteran. He's buried here. My brother's buried here. And it's just a great opportunity to pay tribute to all the veterans here. My brother made it back physically, not so much mentally, but...
Don Bernash, a Navy vet who served in Vietnam, is from a military family.
I come to honor them with the wreaths, and I think this is great. It's a great show of appreciation for what they did and why they died.
And the hum of the brave.
Bowyer's dream is to one day honor all 1,800 vets buried here with the wreaths. In Chicopee, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
In other holiday news, Mater Della Rosa School in Holyoke held its annual Christmas concert last month. Carolee McGrath has more.
On December 14th, the second annual Mater Della Rosa Catholic School Concert was held in the Pope John Paul II Social Center. It was standing room only as families of the students filled the gym during the performance. The entire student body, from pre-K to 8th grade, sang a wide variety of traditional Christmas songs. Robin Shan, the music director, said the song selections were part of the overall concert theme.
So it was a little bit of everything. I incorporated being ready, preparing for Jesus, but also the Christ child and what a gift he is. And then at the end, just wishing everybody a Merry Christmas.
Ring, ring, ring the bells. Ring them loud and clear.
We focus the students during the school weeks on the hush of the season rather than the hustle and bustle of buying presents, but singing like angels and using the gifts that God has given them is really what I think Christmas is all about, and it's the best gift we can give to their families.
The concert ended with all the students wishing everyone Feliz Navidad. Everyone, young and old, left the concert with the true Christmas spirit. In Holyoke, I'm Carolee McGrath.
A great job by those students. Meanwhile, parishioners at Our Lady of the Hills Parish in Haydenville set up a third nativity for the parish in the church parking lot, which is visible from Route 9. The nativity was set up to mark the 800th anniversary of the very first living nativity scene, where St. Francis of Assisi reenacted Christ's birth for townspeople and friars in Greccio, Italy. Organist Steve Calderone and a group of parishioners assembled the outdoor display as a surprise for the parish administrator, Father John Gowanowski, and the rest of the parish. The wise men cast large shadows visible from the road. Parishioner Russell LaRoche, owner of the AccuFab metal shop in Goshen, constructed the wise men and donated them to the church. Read more on these and other stories at iobserve.org, where you can find articles from our Catholic communication staff, as well as on-demand episodes of Real to Real. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Real to Real news briefs.
Usually by late January, we all get stuck in the winter doldrums. Well, fear not, St. Bridget's Parish in Amherst has just the ticket for you. They'll be hosting a Winter Wonderland night coming up on Friday, January 26th. Joining me now with all the details is parishioner George Ryan. Hi, George. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, Sharon. I'm happy to be here.
So I think by now, even though we haven't really had much of a winter per se, it's been cold and dark for a while, and I think folks will be really excited to hear about what you're planning. Tell us about this Winter Wonderland event.
Well, it's going to be a big band dinner and dance, as you said, Friday, January 26th, from 6 until 11 p.m. here at the Monsignor Lane Pastoral Center. We'll have a cocktail hour from 6 to 7 with a cash bar. We'll have a catered buffet dinner starting at 7, and then the dancing will start at 8.
And it looks like you have some really great entertainment and food.
We certainly do. First of all, the music, let's talk about that. There'll be a live 7-piece orchestra, featuring a man named Frank Tobin, who's a well-known Sinatra tribute performer and artist. And of course the food will be catered and it will be delicious. So we have both a meal and a great time for dancing.
So I understand this is part of a greater effort to utilize your parish center?
Yeah, it's something we've been working on for the last number of months. Father Daly's really worked hard to get the center up into a fine state. We've done some renovations. The center has really got a lot of things that you can do here. A dinner dance is just one of many possibilities. So we have a stage for theater performances. So it's a great space, and we'd really like to use it a lot more.
And folks can see the center firsthand on January 26th at this big band event. How can people get tickets?
Good question. Tickets are $50 a person, and you can reserve a table of 8 for $400. To get your tickets, there are a couple of ways you can do that. The first is to come by in person to the parish office here at 43 North Prospect. The office is open from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And you can just come by in person and get the tickets. You can also call the office at 413-256-6181, and you can get your tickets over the phone. And a third possibility is simply to mail your check to the office, again, 43 North Prospect Street, Monsignor Lane Pastoral Center, Amherst, MA 01002. So 3 ways you can do it. I think the most important thing, though, is to realize you cannot get tickets the day of the event. You must get tickets in advance. So please don't wait to the last minute. Because it's a catered event, we need to know how many folks are going to be here. So tickets in advance is the most important piece. But again, you come in person, you can call, or you can send us a check by mail.
All right, George Ryan, thanks so much for being with us today. And again, for anyone interested in a fun night out on January 26th at St. Bridget's in Amherst, we will have all the details at iobserve.org. Finally, the celebration of Christmas that began on December 25th continued to inspire local faithful with events such as the Living Nativity presented on December 28th at Our Lady of Fatima Parish in Ludlow. Modeled on the first such nativity enactment organized by St. Francis of Assisi 800 years ago in 1223 in Greccio, Italy, the performance drew dozens of individuals and families to the parking lot and field outside the church. Rebecca Drake was there and has the story.
The sheep and the shepherds were there, and songs of joy filled the air.
Born is the King of Ages.
And much like the scene in Greccio, Italy 800 years ago, the people of the local towns lit up the night with candles and watched in wonder as the story of Christ's birth came to life in the field outside Our Lady of Fatima Church in Ludlow. The parish's pastor, conventual Franciscan Father Pedro de Oliveira, says St. Francis of Assisi had a simple but powerful reason for staging that first living nativity.
St. Francis wanted to allow the humble birth of Jesus, God coming to us, to become born to us so small as a little child, born to us as a Savior, so that we might not be terrified of God and fear God, and also to experience God's everlasting love for us.
For choir member Patty Supsack, the reenactment brings new meaning and depth to the 2,000-year-old story of the Redeemer's birth in Bethlehem.
It just brings it to life, the actual birth and hearing the story of the whole evening. It just makes it so surreal to see the children partake and put humanness to something we've always just heard in gospel and scriptures.
The Nativity performance has special significance for the worldwide community of Franciscans, including Sister Carol Woods, who previously served in the Springfield Diocese.
It brings me back to the sense of Jesus really becoming one of us. This is the incarnation in person right here. And Francis had the wisdom of wanting to relive that in his time. And it's good to be able to do that in our time as well.
In fact, this Franciscan pastor sees a clear connection between the challenges of the 13th century and those faced by many people today.
Our time and our century is not too different than the time of St. Francis. St. Francis believed that the world, the human hearts of people became cold, indifferent, individualistic, and sometimes we experience that in our own modern day.
But with the living Christ still in our midst and in our hearts, there is reason for hope and joy.
We wish everyone a blessed Christmas and a happy and joyful New Year. We will also pray for the peace of the world, especially in war-torn regions of the world, but especially in Holy Land.
More prayer and more peace in the new year. Sounds like a plan. For Real to Real, I'm Rebecca Drake.
And as the joy of the Christmas season concludes with the Feast of the Epiphany this weekend, we thank our viewers for your support and wish you a safe and blessed new year. And just a reminder again that the Mass celebrating Brother Terry Scanlon's 42 years of service here in the Diocese of Springfield will be held on Thursday, January 11th at 5 p.m. at St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield. If you can't make the Mass, don't worry, we'll be airing it on Sunday, January 14th at 10 a.m. on the Chalice of Salvation. And for this week, that's Real to Real. To keep up with the latest news on the Catholic Church here in Western Massachusetts and around the world, head over to iobserve.org where we have it all for you. Now, due to NBC programming, Real to Real will be preempted on WWLP TV 22 next week. Everyone else will see an encore episode. And I will see you right back here in 2 weeks at this same time for Real to Real, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.